Hey, welcome, my fellow gamers. I'm Jay Feezy, and this is Pixelated Episode 3. Oh man, back at it. I know it's not that many episodes, but yeah, for those of you that aren't familiar, this is a video game series of videos where I discuss certain topics. You know, this is kind of opposed to the chilling and chatting streams that I do, where that's just kind of more like free range and just whatever comes to mind we talk about. Here's a little more focus on certain topics, and I do have 3 interesting ones that I've kind of been sitting on for a while. One of them came to light most recently with all the news that's going around. I'm sure you've seen it all. But yeah, before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow gamers, welcome. First time on Feezys Media. I've had him on my other channel, Feezys Figures, but this time on Feezys Media, we got Ben Thomas of the Ben Thomas YouTube channel. Good sir, how you doing?
Dude, thanks for having me, man. I'm stoked to be here. This is awesome. I'm loving the background right now. I didn't realize that I'd somehow themed my lights for like the cloud display. So I feel like I'm also in the pixelated cloud. I'm ready to be here, man. This is awesome. And some great topics today. So
that is awesome. Yeah, that's true. I didn't pick up on that when you added you backstage here. That's cool. Yeah, you got the blue, like the whole, yeah, you like synced up. Nice. I'm glad you picked up on that and you prepped, did your homework.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. And I've been playing a lot of games lately. I've got lots of thoughts on games and the gaming industry at the moment and stuff, so should be a good chat. I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, likewise, man. Likewise. I know some of the topics you discuss on your channel with collectible focus. You bring some pretty good, thoughtful insights to certain things that you're so I'm looking to see what you bring to this conversation, and we will possibly have one other guest, 1 or 2 depending, but if not, Ben and I will just hold it down and keep it going. So with that, let us go ahead and before I actually get into that, I will have timestamps in the description below and links to my panelist socials, and we'll plug those again later in the outro. But just an FYI, in case you want to jump back to any portion of this, that will be there for your convenience. So appreciate it in advance. Those of you who are tuning in live, this is live. Speaking of, here we go. We got X-Man Supreme in the house. My man X-Man Supreme. I'm here. We can start now. Thank you for queuing us up, Dave. Appreciate that. Ben Thomas doing double duties, engaging with the chat as well as here on the panel. Love to see it. Thank you for doing that, good sir. Yeah. Ben Jamis. I don't know if that was a type or not. X-Men.
Yamas. It's a soft J. Love to see it.
Oh, Yamas. My bad. Yeah, Yamas. Yamas. Accent on the O or the A. Yamas or
sure,
Yamas.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. All right. And then X-Men also saying I would join, but it's way too loud where I am. No worries, man. I definitely appreciate that, you sacrificing that being on the stream because it's too loud there. But hopefully everything goes well. I believe you're at work, so hopefully it's not too chaotic there. But no, thanks for tuning in regardless. Yeah, Yo-Yo Mas. Yo-Yo Mas. All right. So first topic, like I said, been all around the news. I figured we'd kick it off with this one. Physical and digital media, right? Or potentially the death of physical media. This was, I think, within the past month here, we had the news that Sony was removing 500 movie titles from their PlayStation store. That was a hit. And then afterwards, and I believe the sequence of events is correct, if I remember correctly. Ben, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. But then GTA, or Rockstar announced, I should say, that GTA 6 will not have a physical version. It'll be discless. Disc, right? I got the disc, I got that is in there. Copies that they'll be selling. And so it's just a case with digital codes on there, like we've seen to date for some gamers. Some companies put out their games and they just have, like Nintendo does that, for example. They've done that. That's one of their options that you can do, just have by the case with a digital code in there. So there was that, and then I think the heavy blow, I think the one that shocked a lot of us, myself included, was that Sony was going to halt production or stop production of disc, of physical media, I should say, specifically starting January 2028. So it's like less than 2 years, man. Yeah, so all of that, definitely surprising. One thing I wasn't clear on myself, which I probably should have known earlier, was I was under the impression that Sony owned and pretty much controlled Blu-ray disc, but then I recently found out that they're actually just part of a what's called the Blu-ray Disc Association. So that association, that is comprised of several technological members, or some companies, electronic company members, right? And so they're the ones who actually kind of govern the standard, right? Because Blu-ray format is a standard, just like USB, like for your USB cables, like that's a standard, right? So Blu-ray is a standard. The Blu-ray Disc Association kind of manages that standard, and they also manage the licensing, right? So Sony doesn't alone have the licensing, which I and a lot of others thought that was the case, but the licensing is owned and run by that association, right? So it's just any licensing fees that are paid go to that association, which again, you can go to the website or the wiki, and it has a list of there's a lot, too many to go through, but I'll put that link in the description below if I remember to here after the stream, just so you guys can reference. But so yeah, so with that, that kind of leads me to think, okay, maybe we should hold on, stop for a second before it gets too chaotic, right? Does physical media have extra life right now? Are we as doomed as we all thought initially? My first thought, like a lot of others, was like, oh man, speak up, everyone, let's get Sony to change their mind somehow. I'm pro physical media all the way, and I will be for a while. And I did a video on that, and I'll put that link in the description below too if you want to check that, physical versus digital media. But that was more pertaining to movies and TV shows, right? So here's kind of similar related to just video games, right? But some of those aspects and those pros and cons that I mentioned in that video also apply here. But this particularly, I want to kind of focus on, and if you want to share, Ben, your thoughts on just the whole the digital versus physical argument also, but more so, is physical media, does that still have life, or you think that's doomed? What are your thoughts on any or all those takes there?
That's so many things to think about all in one go.
Yeah.
So I like,
sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. No, that was great. Man,
any order.
I don't even know where to start. I think I gotta start with how I used to collect digital media, but in movies. So for the longest time, before I collected figures, before I collected Lego minifigures, before I collected stuff like that, I collected DVDs because they were pretty low cost. You could walk into a store or Walmart, you get your groceries on a Sunday or whatever, walk into the movie section, see if there's anything good, and bring that home. And I had, hundreds of DVDs at one point. And I had like a specialized wall cabinet for it and everything that I was proud of, right? People would come over and see me, and we'd go to the DVD shelf and pick out a cool movie. And then obviously Blu-ray inception started to happen, and the transition even into 4K. And suddenly those original DVDs were virtually like wall art, because you couldn't even give them away. Like, they had no value at all. And so I did honestly do exactly that. I ended up giving most of it to my brother, who also still collects DVD, like physical media. I gave it all to him and said, it's your collection now, man. Moving on. And I've adopted the digital download or streaming platform when it comes to film, with the exception of a couple things. There's still the occasional 4K that I'll go out and buy. And that's where I think there might still be life within physical media to an extent, but I think it'll be different than what we've been so conditioned for so long. Because I do think that there's a world in which that it does make sense these days for digital media to exist, especially with, houses getting slowly smaller and smaller, storage being such a factor within our lives. We're constantly combating trying to just have livable space, let alone display space for things that once they're on the shelf for a period of time. We're surrounded by things that are awesome on shelves and hopefully can never possibly go digital. You know what I mean? Nobody wants a digital figure, right?
Yeah.
But like, you never know. Right. But when it comes to gaming, I've been somewhere kind of in between for a pretty significant period of time. It's been a while since I can even remember buying a physical disc
Mm,
for a video game. Um,
okay.
and surprisingly so, because there's been lots that I've played lately. Like I literally just downloaded the new Black Flag Resynced yesterday.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Awesome game so far. Black Flag was one of my favorite Assassin's Creed games of all time, so I had to play it. I'd also just played recently Crimson Desert and Lego
Mm,
Batman and a bunch of these others, right? But I hadn't gone to the store to physically hunt for one. I was going to get one for Crimson Desert, and it was sold out everywhere I looked for it. So I finally gave up and bought it digitally. But then I think about these coming games, right? You mentioned GTA 6 in your preamble there. For me, like when I got the PlayStation 2, Grand Theft Auto Vice City was the game I started that system with. And man, did I freaking play that for hundreds of hours, right? I mean, we all did. Yeah. But having that physical copy of that game still in my collection
yeah.
means something to me so much more than a digital download can ever feel.
Yeah.
For me, like Lego Batman, awesome game. Played it, platinumed it, deleted it. And now it's like it doesn't exist in my world. It's like it's out of sight, out of mind. For something like GTA 6, when it's within that GTA family, I think that there's no world in which I wouldn't want a physical copy to be able to hang on to for as long as you can still physically play it on a machine. Because I think that's where we're going to have this, up against the wall kind of conversation where it's like some of these things, people like us who collect and have nostalgia for the past and having physical copies in hand, we will still want that feeling. Like opening a game on Christmas morning, right? That feeling of having that physical game you were excited about in your hand. But then there are other times where, like yesterday, I didn't want to go to Walmart. It was like Saturday afternoon. I had the curtains drawn. I'm like, I want to be a nobody person today. I'm going to download this game and not see the world. And that was also perfect. So is there life? Maybe, but I'll pass it back to you, buddy. Like, what do you think then? Like, if there is life, what would that look like based on kind of my in-between zone that I'm in right now?
Yeah. So, one thing I forgot to mention earlier about the whole Sony, my impression of Sony owning Blu-ray and having holding the license to that. I think the reason why a lot of people, myself included, initially thought were under the impression that Sony did own Blu-ray and were the only ones producing that or manufacturing those discs is because they're kind of the ones who helped pioneer. Like in addition with this association, they also kind of pushed that format and that standard to a lot of consumers with the PlayStation 3, right? That was the first console to have the Blu-ray player in it. And so that made its way eventually to a lot of homes. I know initially it wasn't because that was an expensive console, but it eventually made its way and it became kind of the norm. And a lot of other companies started jumping on it once it gained popularity. So I think Sony helped with that. But like I mentioned, they're not the only ones who can manufacture disc. Like I mentioned, anyone can license out, any company can license out the format of Blu-ray and make their own disc. I think, I presume though, Sony was kind of we kind of associated Blu-ray with Sony because I presume they were the ones who had a bigger impact on the market. They probably made the most disc. I'm just guessing here. I would get a chance to look at the numbers here, but other companies, I don't think they're.
I could see that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I don't think they're at the same level as Sony, and manufacturing wise. I'm sure they still can, but I don't think they were there yet. So now it's just like I think that there still is life after Sony. It's just a matter of what company will step up and fill in those shoes, right? I mean, because Sony, let alone their own IP about video games and whatever movies they license rights they hold to their own movies, right? They would then have to work out a deal with whoever does step up to replace them in manufacturing Blu-ray discs. They would have to then, kind of make a deal with that company about putting their content, their IP on those discs too. So there's a lot of factors in there, but I still think there is hope, right? Like at first I was like, oh man, are we doomed as gamers? But I still think there's a chance. It's just a matter of who will step up to the plate and do that. But overall, I hear what you're saying about, you kind of, and a lot of people shared the same thought and take the same approach about digital games, right? You mentioned switching more to digital, and I get it. There's lack of physical space, like you mentioned, or restriction of space, and so I definitely understand from that point of view. But ultimately, we have the option, right? For those who want the physical media, or want to buy a digital, the option is there. If you remove the physical media, then obviously there's no option, right? So I just, like with all my other hobbies, and collectibles, I just love the options that we as consumers have, and options, as you know, is always a good thing, right? So
to jump in there,
yeah,
then on that thought, because like I was thinking about while you were saying that, you know, they're talking about the PlayStation 6 likely being a machine that doesn't even have a disc player. PS5 already tried to do that basically, and it's crazy to me because one of the reasons, like I'm Canadian, I've always been a relative supporter of Microsoft, considering I've always thought about getting Xbox, but I always stayed PlayStation because of the Blu-ray disc player offering, right? Like for me, that was a big win. I didn't need to have two pieces of machinery under my TV cabinet. I could have one system that I could play my stuff on, right? But if they eliminate the disc player, like you said, there are other companies that create disc players for things like movies, but we'd have to have a way to incorporate that in with the PlayStation. And I think they have that now. I think you still can get the external disc player that you plug in. Like, I think that technology already is existing or beginning to exist. But but at what point does it not make sense to give us something different as physical ownership? Because I think the issue that I have more so is I don't need to see a CD in there in order for it to feel like I own the game. But when it's just a digital copy and digital ownership, I don't actually feel like I own it at all. I feel like I'm renting it. And so it's not something that I can say, hey, Feezy, I bought this game, loved this game, and I don't want it anymore. So I want to assign the ownership to you. I don't want PlayStation to be able to shut a switch off and I no longer have availability to that game. I don't have kids, but I know you do. Like, you're going to be able to pass your collection on to your family. Right? You're going to be able to take the games that meant something to dad and hand them to your kids. And even if they don't like the games, and if they think they're like, oh man, that was a wildly old game, I can't believe my dad liked that, doesn't matter. You can still physically hand it to somebody. And again, I don't need a physical CD to be able to do that. But I think if they're going to eliminate physical media, they need to give us something else that proves ownership, and something that we can not only resell ourselves, but also just gift, right? I want to be able to gift it to you. I also love box art when it comes to games, right? That's one of my favorite aspects of owning physical media. It's looking at the case, seeing the pictures on the back, right? And having something to hold physically to feel like I own it, right? But there's also a carbon footprint aspect to that, right? I'm not a crazy environmentalist necessarily, but we are running through fossil fuel like crazy on this planet, and plastic is contributing to that. So if you think about how many physical cases exist right now that likely end up in landfills that have been using our planet's resources to be made, for them to just sit on shelves, and you know, it's like there is a wasteful aspect of it as well that I don't love. But once again, I still want something physically. So like, what else could they then give us, maybe, that gives us that physical ownership, gives us something to sell, trade, give away, all of the things, while still reducing the footprint on the planet. Because as collectors, we like collecting shit. I'm surrounded by things that are nostalgic to me. One of my favorite things that I still look at, I've got this like weird like magnet hovering base thing. I've got my Zelda Ocarina of Time cartridge floating on that base just in my living room, just because I like to look at it. N64 game. I love it. Right. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, what do you think they could do in terms of in terms of that aspect of it, right? The buy, the trade, the giveaway, the physical tangibility, without it having to be a disc necessarily.
Yeah, so I do have some thought on that. But before I get into that, let me bring in my next panelist here. Now joining us, ladies and gentlemen, we got Blu Tattu in the house. Blue.
What's up, man?
Blue.
How's it going?
How apt. Appropriate for the conversation. Blu-ray tattoo. Yeah. What's up? You can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, he accidentally disconnected his device while he was adjusting stuff, but we'll get him. We'll get him back in here when he's able to. But so I might as well to your question, Ben. Yeah, I was listening to one of the IGN podcasts, and they were discussing this thing, and this, or that question in particular, that thought, and I do agree with what, I forget who, one of the on their panel had mentioned this, but currently, there's already organizations going on, or handling that situation right now, right? About the laws and the consumer rights on that aspect about ownership. And, there's not really many laws or none at all actually to address that. And it's just been licensing, right? So there's, I think there's one, what is it? Stop Killing Games, I think it is, an organization based out of Europe who are currently working that. Well, that, it's for Europe, and hopefully, that gets some traction. So that way we can adopt something, whatever they end up creating there, whatever law or standard there to adopt here in the US. But ultimately, they need to come up with some sort of law or standard or some governing idea where consumers still own this item, this digital content that we do purchase, right? Because as it is now, like you mentioned, these companies put in their terms, and it's been that way for a while. I believe more so with movies and music, that when we purchase these quote unquote these entertainment media, we're only purchasing a license to use them. And I didn't catch when Sony started doing that, but that's in their terms now, and I didn't see when that's been the case, because last I checked, games were still treated as a product that you can that you do own. And whereas movies and music, those companies like Apple Music or Amazon, they can just pull those whatever without giving you notice. But for games, companies would have to give you a notice, and you have that much time, like 30 days or so, to download it, and then you have it on your storage medium, whatever that is, right? And so I think that was the differences. But at some point it changed, and I lost track of that. But I would say all that to go back to your point is. One of the other aspects of storing media is, right, you still need space, right? It may not be physical space, but it's digital space. And right now, RAM and storage is expensive. And who's to say that's going to be the case, for a while? But hopefully that goes down. But who knows when, right? So either way, it's you can store those games digitally, but at a certain point that's going to get full, and you're going to need to buy more storage space. So it's like you're storing it one place or another. So if you want to claim ownership digitally, you would need the space to do that, right? And it's just kind of a conundrum either way. And I want to touch on your the plastic aspect, which is actually a good point. But let me see if we can bring Blue back in here again. Blue, can you hear us now?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I changed my camera and the whole sound went off, and
you just ripped that shit right out of the wall. It's like, oh no.
Yeah. But to your point about that's a good thing I didn't really think about, Ben, was like the plastic and the waste and the potential waste to that. And so I can see that if people just end up buying it and they just toss it, especially the ones without a physical disc, right? It's like, why do you need the case? But then again, like, why would you buy it if you most likely knew that there was no disc in there, right? So at that point, why would gamers be like, okay, why do I need to buy the case? So I don't know. Maybe it's just ignorance and not knowing that there was no disc in there. I'm not sure, but that is a potential problem as well. But it's like trade-offs, so right? It sounds like we're kind of going back and forth with pros and cons and trade-offs to each one. But I don't know, Blue. What are your thoughts on everything we discussed so far? Assuming as you've been listening.
Having like physical versus digital,
or just a life of physical. Does it still have extra life? Yeah.
I'd like to say but from what I've been hearing, and doesn't sound good, to be honest. It sounds like we are the minority of gaming. Even movies, like I'm sure not a lot of people buy movies as well on disc. They just download it on streaming. So man, I wish it could last forever, and I wish we could have physical discs, like they could do a I don't know, a special edition or something, make less. I don't know. Just add
but if there's no disc player on the machine, how do you even play it anymore, right? Like, that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
In the future, like, because I thought the same thing. I was like, that would be a great idea. Oh wait, what if I can't play it? That's gonna be tough for sure. Yeah, because I really like the idea of like a limited kind of run, right? Even 4Ks nowadays, right? You don't see a 4K for every movie on the shelf, but then you jump on Amazon, you're like, limited edition 4K, The Crow, and it's like, hell yeah, I kind of want to get that right now, you know what I mean? Like, but we're also collectors. Look at our rooms. We're surrounded by collectors. So we have a collector mindset. Excuse me. I don't think this is going to kill gaming. Gaming will 100% continue to exist. It'll kill the fun of collecting gaming, like, and having physical nostalgia. I was talking about that earlier, Blue, where, like, you know, you wake up Christmas morning and you unwrap the game you've been waiting for. What, like, now you unwrap a piece of paper that says go download it on the internet? Like, how,
you get a code.
How does that feel good? Yeah, right? Like, that doesn't feel good. But the physical collectability, the nostalgic punch in the chest of actually having these things physically in hand, that I think will die in a lot of ways. And I think that's what the three of us feel like we're fighting for, and so many of us are fighting for, is not losing that. Because to me, that's really what, again, connected me to gaming, at least physically. And then I had these wonderful experiences like GTA Vice City, I was saying earlier, Blue, where, yeah, now GTA 6 is finally coming, and I'm an old man now, and I'm like, yeah, I still want a physical copy of that shit, you know? Like, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, X-Men here saying, I think this is in regarding to switching from licensing to ownership of digital games. It's like never going to happen. They've been steering everything toward lack of ownership. They're not going to reverse that train. Yeah, I think if given the option, I don't think they will. But if like I was mentioning earlier, if organizations are successful in making a change, more consumer rights, and establishing some sort of laws or something for consumer rights, you know, to change that, then yeah, they'll obviously have no choice. So hopefully that's the case. But yeah, if they're left given the option, I don't think they're gonna change that either. But yeah, kind of going back to the whole saving and downloading digital content, if that is the case and you want to own it, some examples I was thinking of that came to mind earlier was if you guys remember PT, that demo that who was it? Kojima, I think Hideo Kojima was working on, right?
I don't know if I know
for
that story.
the next Silent Hill. It was only a demo, right? So that, but famously, there was disagreements, and Hideo Kojima split from Konami, right? And so that demo was pulled, but because it never came to fruition, a lot of people that item became rare, that digital game, and everyone who had already downloaded it, they still kept it, but it was pulled from the PlayStation Store, so no one was ever to play it if they didn't already download it. But people who had their, I think it was PS3s, I think is where it was, or PS4, one of the consoles, I can't remember. I want to say it was probably PS4, but
I think so.
Yeah, those became valuable if they had that game on it, because just it's like the situation, the circumstance, and no one could access it. It's kind of one of those things, those rarities. I think you were talking about that one of you were talking about, like, well, it's like limited now, you can't get it, so now it just makes that console more valuable, which I think people were selling that. That, and then also
selling the whole machine because it's it's downloaded on it. You're meaning, like, that's crazy.
That's
awesome though. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then the other example I had where licensing becomes an issue, licensing games, I should say, is Marvel vs. Capcom 2, right? For a while, that game wasn't available anywhere to download or physically. You couldn't buy it physically. It was like an arcade. I think one of the few versions you can get was on the Dreamcast, I think, where they had a good port from the arcade to the Dreamcast. But aside from that, if you didn't have any of those, you couldn't get that game any other way. And it wasn't initially on the PlayStation Store during the PS3 generation for a while, but once that I think it was the Capcom and Marvel license, the negotiation of that contract, once that was either that terminated or ended or that expired, I think Sony had to pull it, and so you couldn't play that game any other way, right? It was just pulled, even if you purchased it, which I did at the time. I bought it digitally because that was the only way I could get it, but and I already had downloaded on my console, but anyone else who wanted to buy it, they just couldn't. And it was that way for years, and it was only till I think it was last year where they finally brought out so there was the Arcade 1 cabinet, I think that was a couple of years ago, that came out with that game plus other games, and they brought that port, the Arcade 1 cabinet, Arcade 1 Up is what it's called, to physical media. And so now it's on physical media, but for the longest time, you couldn't get that game. The Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and so there's a couple of examples where licensing with games could be an issue there, because who knows what could happen to that license for those particular developers, publishers, or whatever, right?
Well, I also don't like that you have to likely be attached to the internet, right? I mean, we live in a world now where we're attached to the internet at least 99% of the time, but back in the day, you could still play a game offline, no problem, right? You put the cartridge in, you play the game, you put the disc in, you play the game. That's your afternoon if your internet's out. Now,
Yep.
like having ownership over content libraries that live in a cloud that you need to connect to automatically just creates another door in between what we own and what exists, right? And I think
Exactly.
that is shitty. I think that's shitty. And like I was saying, Blue, like I'm the type that once it's like out of sight, it's kind of out of mind. Like it feels like I don't actually own it at all. It's if anything, it's like I rented it once and that was I had fun and then forgot it existed. Because there was a time when I used to work in the bank back in the day on the call center phone, and I would look up what game I was going to buy on the way home from work. I'd play it all weekend, and then I'd sell it on Facebook Marketplace or something like that on Monday, pass it off, get my money back, and go and repeat the process the next weekend. And that was how I got to play so many games that nowadays, if I saw the digital download for it and it was the price there, I'd probably say, no, it's like, I wanted to fuck with it, but it's not something that I'm gonna download now, you know. But back then, that's how I kind of like. It was like buying, you know. We used to say it in 6 scale, right? Use your hobby to fund your hobby. I did that with games too, and like that was a fun way to experience it in that way. So it's shitty about it being, you know, the internet gatekeeping as well potentially.
Yeah, exactly. That was another point I was another con to this, right? Is you had touched on this earlier. Is yeah, you're definitely going to be restricting your gaming audience if you do straight digital, and gamers have to rely on internet, right? Because I mean, as we know, the fast internet is not available worldwide, right? So you have to, if you're now requiring gamers to download those games, right, and it's only going to be reserved, well, unintentionally, I guess, or maybe I don't know their plans, but it's only going to be for those gamers who are able to do that, right? Not everyone will be able to do that. So yeah, I agree, Ben. You're already limiting your audience, and few gamers are going to be able to take advantage or even enjoy those games like, you know, they were before. You know, what that ratio is, like, I don't know. I haven't looked into those numbers of what is considered good internet and fast internet and what's sufficient to download games. But yeah, that is definitely another barrier that will be added that wasn't there before, which I personally don't like, because then, yeah, less people are going to enjoy those games that these creators of these games, I'm sure they would want their game to reach as many people as possible. But if that number is then is like decreased, you know, which is kind of unfortunate for them. So I don't know. Byron, what are your thoughts on that, Blue?
From what I've been hearing, it doesn't sound like I said, we are the majority. I think it was IGN had an interview with like either higher up at Sony or somebody in gaming, and said that if Sony knew like the backlash that that this was going to create, and they have like 49 million players, PlayStation Plus, and say like 100,000 of them like us on discs. That's like 1% maybe, you know. So sadly, it's not looking too good there. If like somebody could like get the like a download, figure out the download code and like put it on a disc, sell it like Arrow Video can come through and, you know, talk to the studios and stuff like that and get license and shit like that. If they could do that for the few of us that want discs, that'd be great. Because I'd totally buy it.
Yeah, same, man. Same. Yeah, real quick, let me hear. Welcome in the chat. We got Vita, aka her geeky side, in the house. Thank you for joining, Vita. Look at you, flatter us. Look at these handsome men on my screen. You are too kind. You don't have to give us a pity compliment, though. It's okay. I appreciate that, though. We got Viking Collectibles in the house. What's up, Viking? Hey, what's up, people? Thanks for joining us, Viking.
Yo.
Appreciate that. Thank you for coming through. Hope you're doing well. Let's see here. X-Men saying I saw that as well. We are the 1%. Yeah, and I think the biggest reason, and I haven't looked into the recent reports. I kind of saw posts and other headlines and other outlets sharing this information. But yeah, Sony's of the games that they sold, I think between physical media, I think 80% of their gamers buy digital, right? And so I think that was probably. I don't know to what extent that is. I don't know like the details in that. If that's only certain like certain types of game or games where like they had no physical, right? So obviously like your only choice is to buy digital, like, you know, so certain indie games. Of course, if there's no physical, then you're going to buy digital. So I don't know the details of that report, but either way, it still seems it's like a bigger portion than compared to physical media. So I think that's just their motivation for that too. Yeah, go ahead.
You know, sorry to interrupt you, buddy. I was just onto that thought. I think the other thing that really burns my gears, honestly, is like these digital games cost just as much, if not more, it seems like, because of all these digital deluxe options and all these things that you can get nowadays, than when you could get the physical disc. But like, I doubt they're going to do a reduction in price because they're no longer having to do the manufacturing and storage. And like, think about the sheer amount of storage they would have needed, warehouses filled with games and stuff that they're going to be saving money on now. And like, there's so much money saved, and yet that's not going back to the consumer. That feels like that's going back to the company. And I still feel like they have this continuous control over our wallets as well. Because if you think about, like, you know, and I get it, games are now significantly more complex to design and make than they used to be. So there's a higher likelihood of bugs and things that need patches and these things. I get that. But the day of like you go to the store and you buy a completed game are over. Because now you need the internet in order to patch these things constantly. And then they're constantly adding more ways that you could spend a little bit more money if you like the game. You know, like I'm playing Assassin's Creed last night. Awesome game, having a great time with it. Black Flag Resync. Right here. Definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend it. They've got a digital store attached to that game, and you can buy for $14 Canadian, like a flaming outfit with this flaming head, and you can make your boat flaming and all these things. I'm like, man, $15, that'd be dope. And I'm like, wait, I just spent $100 on this game this morning. I should probably just play the content that exists in my possession for a little bit first before I spend even more money, for it to then digitally disappear from my brain in a month from now when I'm done playing after 150 hours, and it feels like I don't own anything after that. $150, you know, spent in a game that I don't physically have. But they continue, but like they'll continue to give us what feels like incomplete games, incomplete packages for high dollar costs, so that they continue to suck money out of you as well. And I think that is crazy. I should be able to take that digital download at the very least and sell it to Feezy for $10 because he's my friend and I just want him to play the game. I should be able to give that digital ownership immediately to you for whatever I decide to charge, because it's my game, not theirs. And I hate that.
Yeah, X-Men here saying, a digital game shouldn't cost the same as a physical game, and I agree, right? And I think, I know Nintendo is actually changing their business model on that. So I don't know if you want to look at it this way, like their digital games being less, or their physical games being more, because that was already with the Switch too. Yeah, some of their games were already shocking for their price, like the $80 or $70 price tag. But they're actually changing it to where they're going to make their games less expensive than the physical. Their digital games less expensive than the physical, right? So hopefully other companies follow suit, but I don't know. We'll see. But so I mean that's good on Nintendo for doing that and leading by example there. So I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know if like the digital game is already going to be the price they should have been charging for physical. Now it's just like, you know, kind of like the whole movie theater popcorn thing, where like you have a large, you make it feel like you're saving. Yeah, you make it seem like you're saving money by going, you know, large. But in reality, like it was already expensive. The small was already expensive to begin with. So I don't know if that's the case here for Nintendo. Either way, if you got to pay a little bit more, I think digital should be less either way. But if you have to pay a little bit more for physical, if that's getting to be a much more expensive commodity, then I think making it available, like we pre-order Hot Toys 2 years in advance sometimes, right? Who were you 2 years ago when you ordered that figure, right? If I really want this game physically, I'll wait a year or two, whatever. Like we should be able to do a pre-order of a physical copy of a game that's now available and say, this is the game. I loved it. I played it digitally. I put hundreds of hours in it. This is a game I'd like to actually own. You should be able to put a pre-order in on a physical item. Then if like at least that, and then they can charge what they want. They can make their money, right? Like they know, because they're getting the pre-order money anyways. There is less risk in that than having landfills filled with games that were hopefuls that people didn't love and sat there and went to the waste yard, right? Like that could be maybe the other option. But
I believe now that they're the same price Like even now,
Yeah.
Sony for the same price. So that's definitely not going to change.
No,
Sadly.
but like
again,
Ocarina of Time is my favorite video game of all time. Right, it's my favorite game of all time. They're doing an Ocarina remake, right, for Nintendo Switch 2. Now I'm like, great, now I have to buy a Nintendo Switch 2. I'm gonna have to pay $800 for one game because I can't not play that game. Like I'm literally wearing a Zelda t-shirt right now. Like it's
nice.
So it nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we didn't even plan
looking
that.
forward to
That's
that one
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, me
looking
too.
forward to Ocarina of
But
Time
that's one.
remake,
But again, that's one that I'm gonna have a physical copy of because you know, like you have to.
Yep.
So
100%.
Yeah. Viking here is adding maybe the way around this issue going forward is that the deluxe and collector's editions of games come with a physical version of the games with the physical extras from those editions, and then adding if you want just a game, then go digital. Shouldn't be that way, but at least a way to get it, and also a way for them to make less. Yeah, and I definitely get the business side of it, like cutting off the physical saves so much money, right? Just not only manufacturing, but in shipping and any other logistical costs. And so, yeah, I get it. But like I was mentioning at the top of towards the beginning of the show, right? Hopefully there's another manufacturer that is willing to, or another company that's willing to step up and make these discs. And yeah, I mean, I know it's going to be a big financial lift, but I don't know. That's as of now, that's the only way I see physical media surviving. But I mean, it may just depend on, as usual, right? The market, whatever the market dictates. If there's some situation like where one of those scenarios come up, like I mentioned, internet becomes a problem, storage, like digital storage becomes too expensive, where it's just better just to, buy used physical games, or people just like they reach that ceiling, that price ceiling. We're like, you know what, this is already getting too expensive. I'm just going to go revert back to retro, quote unquote, whatever retro is for you games, and just enjoy that. And it's like, because consoles now are starting to be more expensive, like $1,000+ for the next generation. So who can afford that, right? There's only like a small few demographic of gamers who would be able to afford that. So it's like, that becomes a luxury. I mean, gaming is already a luxury to begin with, but still it's like even more so. So it's like, I can definitely see gamers being, you know what, I guess I have to forego playing these newer games for now, and I'll just kind of revert back to whatever old console or old games that I used to play, and kind of do that. And there's obviously indie gamers who are developing 8-bit and 16-bit style retro games, right? And those are still fun. Some of those I've played some, and those are still fun, right? So
there's another factor to this that really bothers me for the future. Like I mentioned earlier, like I don't have kids, so, like I don't have anybody to pass these things to. But, I think about like movies, like a Blu Tattu, you mentioned movies earlier, and I was thinking movies too, right? Like films are part of our history. They're part of our cinematic history, right? Like whether it's the actors on screen who are now long gone, to the messages of morality and storytelling and all of these things, just like physical books. And right now we still have physical libraries that you can walk into, but they're slowly depleting, right? For, audiobooks and digital books and everything like that. But what happens when all of our history from, at what point, what year is it going to be that all of our history going forward is digital? And in 100 years from now, which doesn't take very long, let's be honest, we'll all be long dead in the ground, but in 100 years from now, they're going to look back and go, they're not going to know any different. To them, it'll just be the standard. But what happens if those digital libraries disappear? And what happens to the games that nobody plays anymore?
Yeah.
But then there is that one time where some of us want to, and it's no longer available. It's just gone from existence, right? There are movies right now that I can't find anywhere on streaming or online. I just can't find them. I know they exist. If I had a physical copy of it, I could watch it, but I can't find them. And I think, like, again, if we're talking ownership and copyright and digital ownership and all these things, rights from these companies and these distributors and all these things, after a certain amount of time, it should go to a free library that exists. That is, again, whether it's an online library or an offline library, preferably offline, that you should be able to connect to and download virtually anything from our history, because otherwise we as a society learn from our history. That's the only way we'll not make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And if we don't have the ability to reference our own history, we're doomed. We're doomed to do this cycle of tearing ourselves down. So like that really freaks me out. Like that's outside of collecting and nostalgia and opening gifts on Christmas and those things. What happens to our history when all of this goes digital? Who owns that history?
That's one of the other factors that I pointed out before in my arguments is preservation, right? I think all that is summed up to preservation in any entertainment media. No, I definitely agree, man. That's definitely important. There's like some games that are locked to certain consoles because of the consoles of their time, of that time, and only games like, you know, either Wii games or Wii U games or those are the ones that come off the top of my head. But certain games that you can only play on a certain console, and those are just locked there. But yeah, no, I agree. Preservation is definitely an important factor of this as well, to preserve like not just video game history, but all art form history, any other history, like you were saying. So yeah, I don't know, any thoughts on that, Blue?
No, I agree. It's nice to have that physical copy and be able to watch it whenever you want, because you bought it, and you know it should always be in your library. And
yeah.
Can you imagine like PlayStation walking into your apartment right now and just taking a physical disc off the shelf? They're like, yeah, we want it back, thanks. Sorry, lights are off. Yeah, I'll take that.
That's it. Yeah, your time's expired. Your time with it is done. Yeah,
that's how it feels. That's how it feels. It feels like a violation. It's crazy.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. So I think ultimately it just comes, if they are going to do digital, I think we do, and I agree with others that mentioned this. We need some law or something in place to say that we still own the games, you know, digitally in some capacity. Like we can download it and keep it on our whatever storage device to use, right? And we're not licensing. That's the biggest part, right? It's not licensing anymore. Like once we buy it, we own it, and not let the companies dictate how long we can have something, any form of entertainment media. So until that's done, I don't know. It might be. It seems gloom, but I still have hope. You know, as long as you know these organizations, like I believe it's Stop Killing Games and others, keep up the petitioning and the organization and just like the pushback. Which I encourage you all to, if you're a firm believer in any of these topics that we mentioned, as far as like the pros of physical media, definitely do something, do what you can, basically do to what you're able to, I should say. But on the one last thing I wanted to kind of end on that I saw on a post on this, if Sony's decision stands, if they still continue and like they don't change, they don't backtrack their no physical media after January 2028. The last game that will be released on physical media, from what I've seen, you know, you guys let me know if you've heard otherwise, but Insomniac's Venom game is set to release late 2027. And from what I understand, if that is accurate, that will be the last game to be put on physical media. So,
everybody's gonna buy that game, and then they're gonna be like, "Shit!" Everybody's gonna buy it. X-Men saying "Game Repo, man." I'll take that. Thank you.
Sony coming in and just taking. Yep, you can't do anything about it. Yep. Oh yeah, one more thing. I forgot to mention. I wanted to get this in real quick. Going back to the whole internet aspect too. Like I know some companies have tried to do the online only gaming, right, and it wasn't successful. Like, what was it? Google had the is it Stadia? Was that Google? You guys remember the Stadia? It was like online only console.
Oh yeah.
I remember the
that
name.
Didn't last that long. Yeah. And there was a couple of other. There was like one or two other systems or consoles, and I can't recall at the moment. But I know Stadia. I do recall Stadia being one of the pushes. And I believe that was Google's console. You guys correct me if I'm wrong here, but yeah, that didn't last too long, and I believe it was for those reasons that we were talking about earlier about internet and just always having to download and either have an internet connection. So yeah, I don't know. So it didn't work in the past.
Did they have any good games? I mean, did they have any actual?
Yeah, that's another part of it too. Yeah,
right. I mean, that's the thing is that PlayStation owns the majority of like the best titles out there, arguably. Like, there's some wonderful things on Xbox. Don't get me wrong, but there's got to be some kind of like anti-compete laws that they're violating also by shutting. What about like physical stores, right? Like brick and mortar businesses, you know, places that resell games and those types of things. Like, there's got to be some kind of like anti-compete law that they're literally just shutting it down. It's kind of like Warner Bros, right? Selling, and there being lawsuits around who could own that, because at what point do you own you've monopolized it? You've monopolized the your ownership over that. And I said, who owns our stuff now? It's not us, it's PlayStation.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
That's
so we'll see. Yeah, we'll see, man. Hopefully it's in the years to come, I guess, we'll hopefully someone steps up to that physical media manufacturing. But all right, so we actually spent a good amount of time on that topic, which is good. A lot of good points from everyone here. Like good back and forth there. But somewhat related, physical versus media. There's also another topic I kind of wanted to go into, tangentially related to physical media, right? Or I guess no, just both of those aspects in general was price versus game length, right? So it's another kind of debatable, I should say. It was kind of related in that controversy, right? Kind of more of like another controversial topic is price versus game length. So I know there are some gamers, hearing anecdotally, just hearing around that some gamers don't like the fact that certain games are more expensive than others, but they're whatever amount of time you get out of them is not proportional to that price you're paying, and or vice versa. Some gamers enjoy that they get a lot of content / time out of certain games compared to others. I know ultimately it all depends how much you put into it, right? Like you as a gamer, how much time you put into it. But I know some gamers kind of try to associate the two, game versus price, and I wanted to kind of get your guys' thoughts on that. Blue, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on like how expensive a game is versus what it provides you in the amount of time? I think just for the sake of argument, probably most people are referring to main story, right? If like the main story or like the main content is somewhat short versus how much it costs. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, games are expensive anyway, but like games like Red Dead, like even that story, I think the price is justifiable. They packed so much into that game. Just story wise, I think it's fine. Like $60, I think it was when it came out. $60 is fine. When we get closer and closer to $80, $100, just for the game, it'd be getting quite ridiculous. Not every game is going to be, not every game is going to be like that. They're going to have, great story. I'm sure every game developer wants that longevity, like the GTA 6. It's the same company, but like I can't think of another one like Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog could, they just make remakes now, I think. But even their games, like their story, like Last of Us 2, for the prices they were, I think it's fine. Like if they're on like PlayStation 6 now, and they call it like 4K or 8K or whatever the hell, and just charge like an extra $20 or something like that just to own it or download it. That's an issue. I see happening, like future games. I mean, they're on PlayStation Plus now, but like they like new games. Their prices are going up with more better frame rates. I see it. I see games prices going up for sure, whether they're large or small. Sadly.
Yeah, you brought up an example, and I want to add some more to that before I go to throw it to you, Ben. So Blue brought up Red Dead Redemption, right? Open world game, kind of similar games. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, which you and I are a fan of. Just the GTA series in general, right? Open world games, and again, like main story is there, but tons of content that you can do. And if you wanted to, if that was your only game, I'm pretty sure you can find tons of things to do in there. So what are your thoughts on price versus game length in those examples where you have games like those open world ones I just mentioned that are one price, and then other games that aren't as huge in scale and scope, but are that are the same price? And what were your thoughts on that? What is your take? Yeah, Ben. Yeah, Ben.
Sorry.
No worries.
Here's the thing. I think it's a perfect example. I'm going to give us both sides. I'm going to give the side of like me and as a person who buys games, and then I'll give the devil's advocate. Okay. I think for me as a person, I think like overall, you get what you pay for, but you also have the opportunity to vote with your wallet, right? As a gamer. Not every gaming experience I have equals how much enjoyment I had out of it versus the price tag, if that makes sense. Games hit for me in different ways. I went and saw that Backrooms movie recently and came home and downloaded one of the Backrooms video games and had a really fun, scary experience with the girlfriend for not a lot of money, right? Yeah, not a lot of money. But then I've been buying some AAA games lately where, like, while they're cool, you know, James Bond I finished really fast for $100. But Crimson Desert I played for 150 hours for about the same amount of money. And I think it's dangerous if we start asking for games to be on a more of a sliding scale like that, because then I think it gives these companies an opportunity to say, well, they'll probably get about 150 hours out of this, so we should charge them $150. You know, $1 an hour. That's not bad, right? Whereas something that's 16 hours, they're not going to charge us $16 for. They'd have to still charge the same because they still have to put a significant amount of time and money and investment into these things. Here's what I think about how they see this in terms of the companies, is that it's a bid-based business. If you don't like the cost, don't spend the money, vote with your wallet. I am in the painting industry where I give professional quotes to companies to say, this is how much we can paint your building for. And they say, sure, I'll take it. But if we paint that building faster than what we intentionally quoted in the system, right? We don't give them a discount. We don't say, sorry, we worked harder, we did it faster, so here's some money back. Because our bid was, if you want to have us work for you, or in this case, if you want to buy our game, here's the dollar amount you must pay in order to do so. And if you don't like it, don't buy it. And so I don't love the argument of cost needing to be proportional to the length of time that you play, because I think all companies, whether it's a shorter experience or a longer experience, hopefully their end goal is to make that game as enjoyable as humanly possible. And if you had a great time, then hopefully you feel like you got your money's worth. And if you didn't, go outside and touch grass or do something else, or wait for the next game that's 150 hours and you know you're going to get your money's worth. Like, you know what I mean? Like when GTA 6 comes out, I'm going to put like, what was GTA 5? Man, I put something like 62 24-hour days into GTA 5.
Whoa.
Right? 62 24-hour days. How many hours is that? That's thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, right? Like, but GTA still, like, now, in fairness, I've bought GTA 5, I think 3 different times, right? I think I had it on PS3, PS4, and PS5. But still, even then, I've got my money's worth. I got my money's worth out of that one. I usually know if a game is a shorter experience because I also watch the content that's available for these games. They're not like figures. I don't need to buy them tomorrow if, like, they're not going to sell out on me. I've got some time to have, you know, reviewers tell you, hey, this game is freaking awesome, but it's 12 hours long. Or this game is freaking awesome, but you'll get 150 hours out of it. Choose your own adventure, right? I played a game recently. I can't remember what it was called specifically, but it was the Terminator side-scrolling game that they recently gave us. The Terminator 2 side-scroller.
No Fate.
What the heck was that called? Dude, man, that not a super long game. But oh my, if you like Terminator, awesome? 1000% recommend it. Just the music alone, it's like, oh, it was awesome. But it was like, I think it was like $60 or something. It was still enough that it was like, oof, that's pricey. But man, was it fun. And I've now played it 3 times all the way through. Just having fun with it. Just put it back on, just played it again.
That's awesome.
And so again, you get what you get out of it, but do your research. If you really feel like games are too overpriced nowadays, just see what the reviewers are saying about it. Are you going to get your money's worth or not? And if not, back when it was physical media, and this is what, again, going back to our earlier conversation, you could then wait for a sale. You could wait for it to be in a bargain bin. You could go and get it for $20 when it used to sell for 90, because now it's been 2 years since the game came out. You can still experience it. Will digital content libraries reduce their cost as much as physical copies on shelves would have? That still remains to be seen. But in the meantime, just do your homework. But I think vote with your wallet on this one. Otherwise, allowing them to have a sliding scale for games, as I said, if it's $1 an hour, I don't want to pay $150 for a game that might take me 150 hours. I don't want that either. I still want it to stay low.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think when I was younger, this would have been more of a factor. Like, oh man, I want definitely, if I'm going to pay a certain amount, like more on the higher end, I want the game to last. But that was, like I said, when I was younger, before I had more like the family and the responsibility I have now. But now I'm with you, Ben, in that, like, as long as I enjoy and I enjoy my time with the game. I mean, it's still time is a factor, but not as much as it was when I was younger, because I just have less time overall, right, to spread out throughout all my hobbies, not just gaming. And so I'm more hesitant to play 100+ hour game. If it happens to be a game that I just do that like unintentionally, then so be it. Just I love that game. But otherwise, I don't prioritize games that are 100+ hours, because I just don't have that time, or nor do I want to dedicate that much time to one hobby. Again, I have multiple hobbies, and so I don't mind it as much, as long as I enjoy my time with the game, and it's just been fun and like experience overall. That's mostly what matters to me, right? As long as, like, and I do that just like you said, before I spend the money, I watch the reviews and see if it's actually worth my time and if it's worth my money. And I know it's ultimately it's up to the gamers and their what they choose to spend their money on, if it's worth it to them, right? So yeah, I agree with Ben. Do your research, do your reviews, and see if it's worth your time and money.
Dude, like I said earlier to you guys, like, I'm gonna go and buy a Nintendo Switch 2 just to play the new game that when it comes out. But I might still wait one day. Just to see if the game is even close to making us old guys here like feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like, because it's got the shoes that game must fill are, I think, honestly too large for any expectation that I could have. I just don't think it'll ever be. It'll never hit the same. But will it hit just as good? Will it hit close to as good? Is it still going to be something I play for years to come? Or will I still be tempted to pick up the N64 controller, plug in the old, red, yellow, and white, right? And see, and have some fun with it. But, like, again, it's, I don't know. You can't equate a game's experience to the price tag, I don't think. Obviously, nobody wants to pay more. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating like, oh, we definitely should pay. No. But you also don't have to buy it unless you really want it. And if you really want it, move mountains to get it. Figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's other factors that go into it too, right? In the pricing, and I know for the longest time there was like a standard price for each console. The games on that console were a standard price, $50, $60, $70. Now we're like, what, $70? So, and it was like a certain price for a while, for years, right? And so, one of the arguments I heard from game developers, was that the games themselves, they're not making as much as they'd like to, despite the money that they put into it, right? But I think that most likely only applies to those big AAA games where they spent millions of dollars. GTA, I imagine, is a good example on that. Any of the GTA games where they put a lot of time and money into that, and it costs them a lot. But not all games are like that, right? You can still, well, for me personally, I still enjoy games that aren't GTAs, that are still either your 8-bit or 16-bit, like your indies, right? And they're not $60, $70, but they're still able to produce and make like a fun, enjoyable game. And so I know it all goes back to preference and what type of gamer you are. But so I know the price isn't justified for every game developer, but I mean, it's kind of tough, right? So I can kind of see both sides of it, like Ben was saying. And then one thing I wanted to touch on also was movies. You brought up Backrooms. I think video games, I don't know of any other entertainment media where people associate or want the price to be proportional to the time that they spent into it, right? Because movies, like, we always like you hear people groan like, oh man, this is like 3-hour movie, 3.5-hour movie. I haven't heard anyone say like, I'm paying $20, it should be 5 hours, it should be 6 hours, or anything like that, right? Or nothing like with music or TV shows. It's like no one is pushing that argument. It seems like it's only with games. I don't know what are your guys' thoughts on that. Blue, you have any thoughts on
that? Well, I mean, for how much goes into games, I mean, they got so many people developing and creating these games. They got to pay them too. So like, I think $60 for a game is reasonable, expensive, but reasonable for what who makes these games. Like there's a whole crew like making these games, and they got to get paid. So like, I don't see an issue there. Yeah.
Well, and you think about it, Blue, they like to the paycheck idea, like they don't pay these people they pay these people to develop these games, whether or not the game ends up ultimately selling. Like the amount of a risk is enormous. It's not like they make us pre-order the game before they start making the game, and then 6 years later we finally get it. Like that's not the case. The risk that goes into it, they have to pay them, like you said. I think the other piece there, Feezy, you mentioned movies, that I equated it to in my brain a little bit is, and because you kind of said this, you know, a AAA game is awesome. Like I love, who doesn't love a AAA game? Yeah. But like I said, with that Terminator game, man, did I have so much fun with that game? And like, obviously it cost money to develop and everything. Like I'm sure like there was still people got paid and everything, but it didn't cost GTA 6 money to make that game. Right. And I had just as much fun with that. And in relation to films, you know, I recently saw that Obsession movie, which was made for $750,000 and it made like, how many millions, right? Like it's insane.
Plus,
Whereas, you know, Supergirl came out last weekend and nobody really saw it, or everybody kind of hated on it, and like it flopped hard and it was super expensive to make. And so games are also like, how much fun is it? How good is the story, right? Maybe it's not both, right? Maybe the story is like mid, but at least it's fun as hell to play. Like that's how I felt about Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert story was not great, but it was a lot of fun to play. Whereas again, like the Terminator 2, we already know that story. We already love that story. So it already has a bit of both, right? How good the story is and how fun it is to play. Films are kind of the same way. You don't have to spend $1 bajillion to make a good movie if the story is really good and it's captivating for people, right? And so I think, you know, hopefully companies can get out of that mindset, as well as I think everybody's trying to make the next universe building movie. Everybody's trying to make the next universe building game, right? The next AAA, the next thing that's going to sweep the nation. Everybody's going to be playing it. Everybody's going to be watching it. It's the same kind of like competition, except that we don't need it that way, as long as it's fun to play and a good story, or both. You know what I mean? Either way.
Yep. No, I share the exact same thought, and I was thinking about that comparison. Also, I think like when I was talking about Obsession, right, about good stories, for that same point you made, for $750,000, it's like, yeah, you don't need to have millions of dollars to make a good movie, as long as the story's great. And then same thing for games. As long as the game is fun. I know there's some people who consider themselves like focused on graphics, or graphic snobs, quote unquote, right? And it's totally fair. Again, you however, whatever your preference is in games, just like anything else. But for me, if a game is fun and I enjoy playing it, then that's the primary factor on games that I choose to play. But yeah, and I definitely agree with you, Ben.
I'm having a hard time with James Bond lately. I ended up downloading Black Flag yesterday. I played it for 5 hours, like it was nothing. But I've been putting James Bond on, and like I've been having fun with it at about an hour at a time. And then I start to fall asleep, or I start to check my phone, or it's just like it's paced in a way that's like exciting at times and very slow at times. But like there's something about it that just hasn't captured me, you know? Like it's been fun, but it's not like, I don't know if it's been $100 fun. Like I kind of wish I'd waited on that one a little bit. Whereas again, like going back to revisiting Black Flag, where I was floating around the ocean yesterday, destroying other ships, man, was I having a good time.
Yeah,
and like
I want to play that.
And I've done it before. It's just they've just upped it, right? But like, man, it was fun, super fun.
Yeah, I didn't come around to playing the original Black Flag, so I'm excited to play this one when I can. I think, you know, like you touched on this, and I do the same thing now, where you know, because my time is limited, I don't mind waiting. And so I usually just wait until I can get a game on sale, and then I usually just pick it up that way, just because I already have a backlog anyways. I'm still working on. I just finished Resident Evil 4, the remake, finally the other day. So that's been in my. I've been trying to beat that game for like the last, I don't know how many years, since like the Wii. I bought that on a Wii. It was a Black Friday deal, and I never beat it. And I finally beat that game. So man, cross that off my list. Next.
Nice.
And it's funny too, right? Because you have the opportunity to wait a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but like with the PlayStation Plus membership, like that shit's expensive every year. Every year I'm like, holy God, that's a lot of money to put up at once. But then I've got a lot of cool games on the PlayStation Plus over the years. And like now the content library I have just of PS Plus games is like into the hundreds of games. It's like to the point where like I'll never play them all. Like, but it's cool to have a library to just go and draw off of while I'm maybe waiting for that next title I'm really anticipating, right? So
yeah. Blue, you want to say something?
Yeah, it was a funny story about Resident Evil 4. I bought it when it came out because I loved the game and I wanted to play it again.
So good.
And now I deleted it to make room for other games. Like I downloaded Ghost of Tsushima.
Nice. Hell yeah.
And so after playing that game, I'll turn off the console, and then I'll turn it back on, and then Resident Evil 4 will start to download again. I'm like, what the hell? Every time I turn on the PlayStation, it's like it wants to keep it or
it's like whispering in your ear, play me again, play me again.
You bought it, now play it. Yeah.
Did you ever figure out why? Or did it still do that or stop?
I deleted the game data, everything on it.
Yeah.
And then when I start the PlayStation, it'll go right into the downloads.
Oh, that's weird.
That's
creepy there. It's haunted. Yeah. There was another point. Oh, yeah. Going back to kind of relating back to books, Ben, you mentioned earlier books, and it kind of reminded me of I know there's some people who collect books and they buy them, to read them, but once they either like put them on the shelf or display, they're storing them somewhere, right? But there's also those other book readers who just read it and then they just get rid of it. Right? And when you said that you buy digital games and then you get rid of them because you're done with it, out of sight, out of mind type of thing, that remind me of that. That aspect of it, and it reminded me of that Jerry Seinfeld skit where he's like what do you need it for after you read it? He's talking about the books, and it's like he just likes to display books. And Jerry Seinfeld just couldn't get that concept of people keeping books after they're done reading it. And he was he was having a discussion with George. That's what it was. I think it was George Costanza. Yeah, it was. That was a funny episode. But that, and then also, again, books pricing. I'm not a big, huge reader myself, but does that same argument apply, right? Like the price of a book versus how long it is? I don't know. You guys tell me. Is that like a thing? Do readers, book readers, kind of criticize that aspect of it? Like a book should be longer versus with the price you're paying?
Like a big novel would be. To be honest,
I don't know either.
I haven't bought a book in so long, and
I mean, it depends, right? Because I'm part of Amazon Prime, like Prime Plus or whatever, so I get a free Audible credit every month, and nice. I've been slowly every month downloading all the Dungeon Crawler Carl books and listening to those on audio. The first two, man, are so good. Like, you guys would love them. I 100%. But like, I would say if you're not a big reader, just listen to the digital, like the audio book.
Okay.
Such a good story, guys, though. Like, such a good story. Totally recommend it. But again, point is that they're about $30 books each. Okay. Right. So there's 5 books, I think, in the series right now, or maybe 8. Like, there's quite a few of them now, but like the first 2, easy to read, easy to listen to, and really fun stories. Actually, Seth MacFarlane's transitioning it into a kind of like a sci-fi show.
Oh, wow.
Which sounds also like it's going to be really fun. But all that to say, book is about $30. I agree, though. I like also still having physical books. Like, now that I've read that book and I'm like, man, that was an awesome book, I kind of want to own that book. I actually did go to the store and physically purchased it and have it on the shelf now. Oh, but for the same reason, because I then handed it to the girlfriend. She then handed it to her mom. Now her grandma is reading it, which is like not a story I would have thought for a grandma, if I'm completely honest. But but I've been able to hand it out, right? Like, and so. But point also is that you also get other ways to now download books for free too, depending on your memberships in other areas. So games could end up being the same way, like the PlayStation Plus gives us free games. I think I downloaded, what was it, Call of Duty 4 or something last night, because that's the free game of the month.
I haven't been part of PlayStation Plus in a while, just because it wasn't like, I like, again, physical media, so I'd rather just buy my games physically, and I don't think it would I didn't justify the price to sign up, so it wasn't justifiable for me, so that's why I personally don't. But I know a good amount of people are. That 3 is they just still do 3 games a month?
Yeah, they do. Okay. That's how I got like Ghost of Tsushima. I bought it on a discount through PlayStation Plus.
Oh, nice. Okay, gotcha.
Such a good game, dude. Such good. And Ghost of Utai, by the way, also equally wonderful and beautiful.
Those are on my games to playlist.
Yeah,
sure.
It's on my backlog.
We got
so
yeah.
I got other games to get through before then.
Till we get before we get to that one, we got Geo the movie canon in the house. What's up, Geo? Thank you for coming through. Hopefully you're doing well as S Beam, the other half of Blue Beam in the house. Feezys 20 or you right? Yeah, man. Yeah, I haven't forgot about that. I appreciate you leading that movement though to bring it back.
Yeah, buddy.
Got to bring it back. But yeah, thank you, appreciate it. Yeah. X-Men is saying here, Ben, you are so grandma coded. Don't even start.
I had an 80-year-old hitting on me for a while there up down below me. So yeah, she kept giving me noise complaints and then would come and knock on my door in her nightgown and be like, Ben, you need to turn it down right now.
Any reason? Awkward. Yeah. Any reason for her to come over? Yeah. You were asleep and she's giving you a noise complaint. Yeah.
Pretty much.
What's going on? Yeah.
It was pretty
that's
wild.
funny.
I was happy when she moved out.
Story for a later time. You guys got anything else to add on the price versus game length or price and game length topic here?
No,
if not,
if anything, it's the physical side. It's like I really, really hope that they at least say, hey, we heard you. We know you love physical. We can do it for cheaper now. So a $90 game is now $60, or whatever, right? Like, and obviously my prices are different than yours for Canadian, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I hear you. Either way, same concept. No, I definitely understand. Yeah, like I said, hopefully other companies follow Nintendo's takes their lead. Follows their lead, I should say, and does that price difference between physical and digital for sure. Yeah,
take off $20.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yep. It'd definitely make it at least give us that option there, right? Definitely better to have that. All right, so last one. I thought this was a fun one. That kind of made me, I was thinking about this myself, but I wanted to I thought it'd be fun to hear what my panelists have to say and what some of their experiences have been gaming with our memories or experiences gaming with our parents, right? Whatever, it doesn't have to be, like if they were specifically gamers, but if you shared some sort of moment or some sort of experience with your parents when you were younger, like in your early days of gaming, or I guess at any moment in your gaming life, in your history of gaming, was there anything in particular that stood out to you or you found memorable or just a good experience? Ben, we'll start with you. We'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, I felt like it's funny. I didn't game with my parents very often, or if ever. But I definitely had some good memories around the parents and family, and just like them helping me kind of find my love for gaming. So my one memory was on the Sega Genesis. My uncle, who is a 6'4", very British dude, very funny guy. My mom is British, so like, he's a funny guy, right? My Uncle Mitchell, man, he always has a good laugh. And I was a kid, and my mom and my dad were off doing something. I think they were like a date or whatever. And so my uncle took me for the day, right? And basically was like, yeah, like I can look after Ben. You guys go do your thing. And back then you could go to the Blockbuster or like one of those video game stores and video rental stores, and you could actually physically rent a console for the day. And so we went and rented a Sega Genesis with the Aladdin cartridge, the Aladdin game for Sega.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And came back, ordered pizza, and played Aladdin on the Sega Genesis all afternoon with the uncle. And man, I now have a physical copy of Aladdin because that's such a core memory for me. I don't even have a Sega Genesis anymore. I just have the cartridge of that game in its box and everything, which is cool. And so, yeah, super core memory for Aladdin. And then N64, I didn't like school when I was a kid. And for me, it was like, I would get bored with school really fast. And so my mom always kind of pegged it as like, I'll do well if I have a reason to care and a reason to do well. If I don't have a reason, then I just, whatever, like I'd rather do something else. Right. And so anyways, my parents incentivized me, and they knew that I wanted an N64. It was a new system, right? It was coming out. I was all excited about it. My next door neighbor, Sean, had one already, and I was going over and watching him play Ocarina of Time. And just side note, I used to have to watch him play Ocarina of Time so much. He named his character Raymond in that game. That was the first time you could name like a character, from my recollection, in like your protagonist. You could name it. And when he eventually let me play it after I watched him play for days and days and days, he handed me to the controller. He's like, "What cool name are you going to be in your like as your character, your protagonist?" I was like, oh shit, I never really thought about it before. Is Ben not like a really cool, like you can't make your character name Ben. And so I did like a random combination of letters on the controller and it ended up being XTB, which has now been my gamer tag for my entire life. 30 years later, anytime I have a character name, it is XTB. That's the side note. I really wanted this system because of how much time I spent watching Sean play it. And so my family said, look, if you get a B+ average in school this year, the end of the year, we'll buy you an N64. And so, man, did I work hard for that B+ average. And obviously I got the N64 out of it. And I mean, that system for me was so impactful for my love of gaming that, you know, I still have wild nostalgia for it. I still have a controller just out on display because I love that system so much. So.
Hell yeah. Do you still have that console or just a controller?
Oh, yeah. Yep. The console still works. Still works.
Yep, same. Yep. Hell yeah, yeah. You still got your copy of Ocarina of Time, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, actually, I have 2 copies now. So I've got my original copy, and then years ago, because I work in the painting industry, we also ran a little like a side business, which was like for junk. It was a 1-800 I've Got Junk business, and so we would have to go into houses and clear junk out of these places. And we had a store that we would sell some of this junk for super cheap, like garage sale pricing, right? People could just come in and, you know, buy a lamp that we ripped out of somebody's place or whatever. And so I used to go back into that store and walk around and just check things out. And one day there was a pristine copy of Zelda Ocarina of Time, but just the box. Whoa. Just the cardboard, like outer shell of the box. Pristine. I went and brought it to the girl at the front who was like 16 years old. And I was like, hey, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, how much do you want for this empty box? And she was like, I don't know, like $2. So I bought it for $2, took it home. Nice. That box with a game cartridge inside and the instructions now is like $300. Like for that pristine of a copy, it's like a while. So it's up above me here with my Deku Lego tree. Just
hell yeah.
So
that's
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, I still got mine too. I gotta show it off. I don't think it's accessible right now, but I eventually gotta get it and show it off here, maybe on a episode of Chilling and Chatting. But Blue, what about you? Any memorable moments, experiences? I guess it doesn't have to be with your parents. It could just be with family member or anything like that when throughout your gaming life.
No real gaming with my parents. I remember my dad. I was walking through the store with my dad, and he was carrying a freaking Nintendo. And and we brought it home and started playing. And same thing with Super Nintendo. He always bought them, and I always play with my brothers and stuff like that. And now it's just or I used to jam on that with my sister playing Mario Kart Double Dash. In my opinion, the best Mario Kart ever. And that was always fun. Also playing Rock Band as well. That's always great.
Hell yeah.
And now, I mean, my mom still plays Mario.
Oh, nice.
To get the new consoles and stuff like that. My mom plays
the
new Marios, whatever comes out, and she has fun with that. So, for me, I mean, with family, it was Double Dash and Rock Band. Good time. And Dying Light playing with my brother and sister online, and it had really cool online. Yeah, there we go. Super cool.
Yeah, Rock Band. Oh man, I love Rock Band. I played it, back then with friends. Not my parents, but with friends. And then I still play it now. Like that's one of the games that gets chosen by me most of the time is Rock Band when we have game nights, our family game nights. We each take turns choosing a game, and every now and then I'll choose either Rock Band or any variation of Rock Band. There's like the Beatles Rock Band, and then there's we have Rock Band 3 and 4. Yeah, and it's just fun. The kids, they kind of begrudgingly say no. They're like, no, but then once we get started, they get into it. It's cool. I even bought one of the newer guitars, the Bluetooth guitars. I'm already blanking on who made it, but there was like a new one that just came out that was sold out for a while, and it was hard to come by. And I forget who did it. Man, I gotta remember. Maybe I'll show that off also in a future episode of something. But I got a new guitar for it too. Yeah, it's fun, man. I just love that game.
The first sleepover party I ever went to. Sorry to cut you off. I'm excited to hear more. Was the the first sleepover party I ever stayed up the entire night was a Halo 2 party. Where back then you could play, it was like, I think I called it a LAN party or something like that.
LAN
where,
party.
where you could play 4 TVs in the same room, but be in the same universe. And so we had 4 tube TVs back to back, like 2 TVs back to back, the big old tube ones connected, and we all sat in this room so that you could, because you couldn't see your other guy's screen, right? Like you couldn't, you can't like, don't watch my screen, you know, kind of thing, right? Like, right. So we had them back to back so that we could be in these universe in Halo 2. And man, was that a good freaking time. That was a good freaking time.
Man. Yeah, we did that when I was in the military. We had, that was big. Halo was big, and we did the same thing. You know, people got 4 Xboxes, we got 4 TVs, and that LAN party. Yeah, it was so fun. It was awesome. Let me address some of these chats here before I go into my experience. S Beam was also sharing Super Mario 3. The whole family played that one. Nice, another classic. X-Men Supreme adding, used to take turns with my dad playing Rad Racer. And Friday the 13th on the original Nintendo. Nice. I think, wasn't Friday the 13th another like really difficult, challenging game? I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't think I ever played that one.
X-Men. X-Men saying, I used to have Rocksmith where you plug in, a real guitar and play songs. I don't know what happened to that game. Shit was fun. Yeah, I actually, I have that. I still have a copy, and that's on my to-do list. And I've been, during the pandemic, I was, a side note, kind of starting to learn guitar. And then I slowly kind of stopped, but I want to pick that up. That's been a higher priority now to get back into, and to start getting on Rocksmith, because I actually got that for a Christmas present per my request. You know, it was one of the on my wish list, quote unquote. And my mom got me that. So yeah, I definitely want to take advantage and start that up and use it. Because I have the guitar, I have the game, and I have the cable for sure. So yeah, that's definitely looking forward to adding that there, getting through that, knocking off that my to-do list. So for me, the first console I've owned that my parents got for me that I didn't know about was a Nintendo Entertainment System. That's right, the original NES. I didn't even know that was the thing. I guess my parents, I don't know if they just heard it from somebody else, or I don't know how they came across it, or what brought them onto that, but they got it for me. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And then I started playing it. Yeah, now that just changed my life forever. And it was crazy because, again, I don't know what brought them onto. Maybe I should go back and ask them. I think I did, but I don't think anything memorable. It's just, I guess they just thought something that we would like. And so that was our first console, and then I got a few games. And then I remember some days where I would be taking a nap. We were like, as kids, my parents made us take naps. And so I would be sleeping in the living room. I would go on the couch and just kind of lay down, and I would pass out, just go to sleep. And then when I would wake up, I would wake up to seeing my dad playing the Nintendo on our main TV there. He'd be playing one of the games we had was the Addams Family, Fester's Quest, and Top Gun were games that we had, which were very notoriously difficult. And he would be playing those, and sometimes I'd be waking up to him like landing that the jet on the aircraft carrier in Top Gun, which is like one can ever do. Yeah, no one like ever, I don't think successfully did. I'm pretty sure there's some videos out there, but yeah, it was it's just funny, like, because before then, right, games weren't mainstream, so I couldn't imagine my parents being into games. It was kind of weird to me. And so when I woke up, and my mom, she didn't play games at all. It was mostly my dad. And when I woke up from my naps and I would see my dad playing, I was just kind of like, I was kind of impressed. I was like, wow, he's playing the game. Because again, it started with our generation, right? Like for kids born like in the 80s, because that's when Nintendo became mainstream. It was just weird. So, but yeah, that's probably one of the bigger memories I have, is just that. And it was more like we weren't taking turns. It's more like he wanted to play, and he seemed like he was waiting until I was asleep so he can go and play. But yeah, it was, he continued playing after that. There was just like certain games he only played. He didn't play with like Mario or anything like that. It was only certain games. But he hasn't played since then, right? He didn't become a gamer. Like there's not really like a evolution or a happy ending to that story. He just, for some reason, just, I guess, I never asked him. I probably should. Like, why didn't he keep playing? I guess he just lost interest and he just stopped. And yeah, that was that. So that was the only console I remember him playing. After that, I just died from there, his interest, and then I just ended. I don't know. Kind of, again,
started going to digital.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, just doing other stuff, taking care of the family again. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. X-Men here saying the Mario Duck Hunt combo, Excite Bike. Yep. Gunsmoke, Pro Wrestling, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, great one. TMNT, Rad Racer, and Friday the 13th were games that I played the most on NES. Yep. Punch Out. Yep, I had. The Mario Duck Hunt combo was awesome. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
Duck
classics,
Hunt
man.
was super fun. One of the things I was just thinking about actually was New Year's Eve 1999 when the Y2K was a big deal. And I was thinking I spent that New Year's as like a 12 going on 13-year-old playing Star Wars Racer, the pod racing game, which was super fun. Rogue Squadron, Star Wars Rogue Squadron, and NHL 99. Because I thought that I wasn't going to have access to a computer anymore. I thought computers were going to shut down, and that was the last time I'd ever get to play a computer game. So I spent that whole New Year's playing games, and then obviously the clock set and life continued moving. But that was a pretty big deal back then. And when you were talking about playing with your siblings, Blue, I was also thinking about because like I came from a split family, so my mom's house was already more of like a PlayStation and Nintendo household. And my dad's was always the Sega Genesis household. So when I would go, I'd visit my stepsister, and I would play Sonic 2, and I always made her play as Tails because obviously like Sonic's the cool one, right? But she always got to play as Tails. And the only other game we had at the time was Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. So we'd play a lot of Mortal Kombat back then as well, which was super fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, Sega Genesis.
Yeah, kind of. Somewhat related. My one thing that's like an experience I wanted to, that I'm really thankful for, is like how supportive my parents were of like me gaming, right? I mean, there were still rules and school and all that, of course, came first and all that other stuff. But despite them not being too familiar with it, it seemed like they tried to understand, and they were supportive of our interest in it. My sister and I, mostly me, because I was like the one who mostly used it, but I remember going to, speaking of Ocarina of Time, I can't remember if I was there day one, but it was like when it was initially released. And I remember Sears. You guys remember Sears? I don't know if you have Sears up there, Ben, at one point, but
I remember Sears.
They sold games too, right? So they had the collector's edition
That's
of
crazy.
Ocarina of Time. Yeah. And they had, and I wanted that. Like I saw like it was special, it was shiny. I was like, oh, I want that. Yeah. And my mom took me at some point to go in person, but I think actually you can still pre-order. I think pre-order was a thing, and I think we went there, and I want to say it was pre-ordered. Either way, we bought it in person. But at the time, Nintendo was famously notorious for charging a lot of money for the cartridge, right? Because they're the ones who had like a kind of somewhat similar to Sony and Blu-ray. Nintendo put all their games on these cartridges, and game manufacturers had to buy or go through Nintendo to put these games on these cartridges, right? So they were expensive, right? So they were like $80 I can't remember, something like that for the time, which was pricey, right? And so my mom, she was still willing to buy this for me. So really grateful now looking back in hindsight, which was expensive. We didn't have a lot of money when we were growing up, right? Because we were, it was, so I was I'm still like, really surprised that she was able to spend that kind of money on that hobby. And then similarly, my dad, I bought a game thinking pre-internet, right? So when I was younger, 80s, early 90s, I bought a game for Nintendo. Dungeons, I think it was a Dungeons and Dragons game. I can't remember, but it was a game that really sucked. I did not like it at all. And I had no idea, right? So like I took a chance. I went off like the cover and the photos in the back, and I bought it. It ended up sucking. Or not, a game I didn't really like. And so my dad, he went with me, and there was like a video game store. I think at the time it was like, I want to say it was like BRE Software. It was like kind of one of those kind of like games, pre-Game Crazy, like electronics boutique type of thing, like early, like back in the day. And so, he was there, and he spoke up for me on behalf of him, like, my son didn't like this game. Is there any way we can return it? And so he was there, and he kind of pushed, for me to get a refund on that game. Cause like typically I think once you open the game, kind of like nowadays, right, you can't get a refund. Yeah. And so I want to say he was there, and like he's talked to the guy, and he advocated for me to get that game back.
He's the one that ruined it for the rest of us. Nobody got game refunds after that day.
I know, it was all on him.
Hate to see it.
He sacrificed, for the greater.
That's right.
He took that sacrifice there. Man, funny. But no. So just kind of things that I remember vividly, just because they had such an impact on me. But
Oh, yeah.
Let me read
Dude,
X-Men's.
thanks for
Go
bringing up Fester's Quest, dude. Like,
Yeah, you
yeah,
remember that
I
one?
used to jam on that game as a kid. Yeah,
Hell
great.
yeah. Adam's Family, yeah, which was weird. It's about aliens and stuff and like fighting space aliens. That had nothing really to do, from what I remember, with Adam's Family. Yeah, you had to rescue them. Yeah, it was funny. X-Men here saying, I had no rules. I was such a spoiled kid, but my grades were also really good, so I guess I got more leeway because of that. All the comics I was reading translated to above average reading skills. Nice. Oh yeah, definitely a pro there in reading and anything, right? So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so thank you all for sharing in the chat here and in the panel. I just thought that would be a fun one. Like I said, that was triggered by some of the memories I had, and so I wanted to hear what you guys had to say. But fellas, yeah, that was all I had. Yeah, good chunk of time just for those 3 topics. So definitely appreciate you taking some of your Saturday to spend and talk games and gaming related stuff on this. What is this, July 12th?
I wish it was still Saturday. If I'm
Oh yeah, sorry, Sunday. Thank you. Yeah, Sunday. I know, right? I'm already, like, now. I'm jumping. Yeah, wow, I'm behind.
It was such a long stream. It's already Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. What's going to? Yeah,
I'm flew,
Sunday. But no, thank you again. We'll go around the clock. Anything you want to shout out or plug before we jump off? Ben, we'll go and start with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's less of a plug, more of an update. So if you guys like the Let's Get Nuts podcast on the Ben Thomas Show, I'm thinking about renaming it. So with the channel's recent demonetization, I asked for feedback from the community of reasons for why they may, like, that YouTube, if you're familiar with the story, may have demonetized me for the encouragement of negative behavior. And some of the reasons cited in that demonetization of encouragement of negative behavior was excessive eating. And encouraging basically like bullying or like prank like material. And so what some people have identified is maybe the title of Let's Get Nuts is kind of insinuating kind of getting crazy. They think it's like prank content. And because it's nuts and kids have sensitivity to nuts, the association with nuts might actually be like a let's get crazy with food allergy kind of concept. So I don't know if that's the reason. It's the only one that's kind of like that maybe makes sense. So I'm thinking about changing the name of the podcast entirely, eliminating all the old slides or like, what do they call them? Like thumbnails, changing all the thumbnails, changing all the titles. There's 93 episodes that I'd need to edit. And then going forward, I'm thinking about still having a Sunday show, but I may change the name of it to just something else, like Ben Thomas Show Live or something like that. So stay tuned for that. I haven't had a show since I've been demonetized, just because a lot of time goes into it. I've also had a new lady in my life, so life. But all the things to say, like, I'd like to get back to doing that a little bit more often. But if anybody who's watching has any suggestions for some fun Sunday show names that I could change to, I'd be happy to take any suggestions. So stay tuned for that.
Yep, there you go. And
like
I said,
otherwise, dude, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and like I mentioned, I will have links in the description to my panelist socials and their channels. You know, I'll put Ben Thomas's channel in there. So if you want to go back and look at any of the previous content he has, feel free to do that. Show him some love and then support where possible. I'm sure he would definitely appreciate that. But yeah, thanks again, Ben, for joining. I know it's been a while to get you on here, like a scheduled show to get you. So I'm glad you were able to finally spend some time and make it on here. But I appreciate you, man.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me, buddy. Appreciate it, and good to see Blue as well. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Speaking of Blu Tattu, thank you again, sir. Anything you want to shout out or plug?
Yeah, we're live every Monday on my brother's channel for Collector's Figures. And we've been doing 1/6 takes as well, just kind of throughout the week. Just kind of, so it's not just like on Mondays, but
that's members only, isn't it? Or no?
What's that?
Isn't 1/6 take members only, or maybe did I miss? Maybe I misremembered.
That's a good question. My brother runs the channel, so I couldn't.
Okay. All right.
So it might have been members only at this point. I'm not sure, but also on Gio's channel when he's on Fridays and stuff, and joining Feezy as well on your channel. And I appreciate being here, and yeah, Ben, awesome meeting you, dude.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, that was fun. Good chat.
Yeah, and so like
I
said,
I'm gonna go play. Now I'm gonna go play a digital copy of a game. We love to see it.
Right?
Traitor! You traitor!
No, like I said, I get it. I get the reasons why. There's definitely the pros there, but whatever works for you, as long as you're still able to enjoy the game in some fashion, but hopefully also eventually own it, right? And keep it that way. But yeah, like you can find Blue, like you said, on Collector's Figure on S Beam's channel. So I will have that link in the description below if you want to check out S Beam's YouTube channel. He also has other content on there, focus on collectibles, right? And they every now and then they also discuss other items, pop culture on Collector's Figures. So don't get confused and just led astray by the collectible aspect. They do discuss other things as well. But yeah, as far as for me, keep it locked, of course, on Feezys Media on YouTube. Subscribe to get notifications, and/or check out my IG account, Feezys Media, same name, right? And that's where I usually post when I'm going to have another live show or just any other content coming up. Then I also have another channel, Feezys Figures, where I also, as you can tell, just like these gentlemen here, I am a collector of collectibles, action figures myself of different scales. So that channel is where I have all that related collectible content. So if you're interested, link in the description below if you want to check out my content related to that. Either way, thank you for watching anything that I create, anything that these gentlemen and any other friends of the channel create. We appreciate your time that you're able to provide for us and your support. Let's see, I think with that, yeah, check out the channel, Feezys Media, for any other content, past content. I have chilling and chatting, that one movie, that one show. Yeah, there's a bunch of variety of different things on there that I cover as far as entertainment media, right? Movies, TV shows, and video games. So it's all there. But thank you in advance for watching. Thank you for your time. And with that, we'll catch you on the next one, and have fun playing whatever game you got lined up. Take care, all. See you later.
See you guys.